Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to today's video. We are back in Willow Creek and we are building a 3x2 bedroom family home, and we are on the Riverside Roost lot. This is the lot which is, I think, in the same area as the Rindle Rose lot in Willow Creek. So I think it's the same. Is it neighboring the Pancakes house, or it's in the same street as the Pancakes? It's a very unique home. If you're familiar with Willow Creek, I did want to keep the original style of the build because I actually really liked it. And I did initially start by having a staircase that led up to the second story. In the end, I do end up getting rid of it. I just couldn't seem to get it to look the way that I liked. But in the end, I do keep this front bay window, and I end up just creating a really pretty family home. Just a very, standard family home that I would traditionally build, but definitely layering a lot of bump outs. And yeah. So, anyway, as I mentioned, this is a 3x2 bedroom home. It has one of the best kids' rooms I have ever built. It is so thematic, and I think because I built this around the time that Toy Story 5 came out, so I was very inspired by that. So I did like kind of like a Western horse themed, like I guess cowboy themed bedroom, and it's so good. I'm so excited to show you guys. All right, so the house on this lot is very different to the neighboring house homes in Willow Creek. So I decided to keep the original shape of the build because it was something that I really liked. It kind of had a stacked, almost townhouse vibe to it, a little bit like, I don't know, almost maybe like a shotgun style home, but two-story. Very similar to that, which as opposed to the colonial style homes that you see in this street. Okay, so a lot of what I had issues with was the coloring. So it just didn't sit right, and I did end up changing it quite a lot. In the end, I believe I use a combination of brick and sliding, and I pair it with some pastel colors, and that creates the perfect kind of look. I did swap out the columns and the spandrels. Initially, I wanted to keep this build in more closer to the styles of the surrounding houses, but I think I went with more of a, but then I used a bit of Strangerville and I didn't think that it suited, so I pulled away from that. I used a lot of cats and dogs in this build. All right, so we are now inside, and I think we're going to start with the floor plan. Now, this is an interesting build. So you walk in, and you're walking directly in to a gallery style kitchen and dining, and then through an archway you have the stairs, and then you have a living room. And what else do you have? A living room, like a hallway that kind of connects everything, and then I think the downstairs bathroom perhaps, and then all three bedrooms are upstairs plus a second bathroom. Sometimes I do this where like you walk into either a living room or a kitchen, and I think it's okay, especially in a smaller home like this. I really do like it, and I did want to decorate this in a very homely kind of I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's kind of homely. I use all the same kind of assets that I love to use. So that kind of country family orientated vibe. It's just like my favorite. It's my comfort zone. It's what I like to build, and that's how I decorate. Okay. All right. So it's coming back to me now. So you head through that archway. The kind of small squared room that we have off from the hallway is actually the bathroom. So there's a bathroom downstairs, and then the front room is a living room. And then upstairs, we have a master bedroom at the end. So it's kind of front facing. You have a bathroom, the kids' room off to the side where that balcony is. And then I believe, oh, no, sorry. I think I swap the rooms. Yes, the bathroom is at the end. So yes, I'm just swapping it over now. And we put in, I think, a nursery next to the master bedroom, which I think is a good call. Sometimes I do that because it's easier for gameplay to have the master bedroom so close to where the, infant or toddler and whatnot is sleeping. Okay, at this point, we are just finalizing the exterior and I'm trying to work out the balcony and where I want the access to the balcony. In the end, I give access from the master bedroom. It just makes the most sense. And in the end, that master bedroom is such a beautiful room. Actually, yeah, I think I really enjoy how all of the bedrooms in this home are decorated. So, yeah, I cannot wait to show you. We do end up getting rid of, I guess it's an awning. We end up putting these plantar that I'm putting on the lower floor onto the upper floor. I put these beautiful trellises on the side. And then we'll be moving in to mapping out the landscape. So the backyard was a reasonable size. And I end up sectioning the backyard into a garden space. I put in a toddler splash pool and I put in a playground, just a small playground, just because I felt that I wanted to have a ton of activities as this is a reasonable sized family home with lots of like age groups in there. So yeah, I wanted to do that. Landscaping, I initially was not happy with it. This front garden bed really threw me. It didn't feel right. It didn't sit right. And it took me a while to kind of work out how to fix that space. But I do fix it in the end and I'm really happy with it. I loved what I've done with the fencing and how I've encapsulated those trees and kind of made like improv, I don't know, like are they called tree gates or tree holders? So I've used that with the gate and I just think that pairs really well. Made like a little driveway and I've just used, I think I've not used debug. I think it's all just standard landscaping. I have put an aircon unit. These came with for rent and I have been using them a lot lately. There's something about these aircon units on the exterior of the build that just really remind me of a family suburban home. So I've been really enjoying in adding in wall decals like that because I always forget to add like roof decorations or exterior decorations like that. Okay, so we are officially inside and I think we are doing the decorating portion of the build. So we are obviously going to start with the kitchen as it's the first room you have when you enter. I did struggle with counter space. So in the end, I did move over the archway slightly so I could fit all the counters I want and have the correct orientation. And in the end, I'm really happy with how it looks. At this stage, we're just cluttering up the space. I use the counters are from the Country Kitchen Kit, and a lot of the clutter is from the Everyday Kitchen Kit, Kitchen Clutter Kit, whatever it's called. It's one of those things. And then it's just paired with the fridge that comes with Cottage Living. And I've used it. I keep this tile backsplash? I may change it. I did like the green though. I did like the green. We use the curtains that come from Growing Together. You'll see that here. And I use these pretty much throughout the whole build. I think the only room I don't use it in is the living room because I really enjoyed how the curtains from Businesses and Hobbies looked as opposed to these ones. But there's something so lovely about the curtains we got with Growing Together. Like I love how they drape and I love the pastel colors. And I really feel that anytime I decorate with that kind of color scheme, like I gravitate towards those curtains. And I thought this rug was beautiful. This rug comes from the Backyard Stuff and that beautiful green paired perfectly with the curtains that were in the dining area space. And it just kind of married the whole like space. And I think from that point on, I realized that, okay, looks like this is going to be a really cozy but colorful interior, which I think is really nice. The exterior does stay, I think, fairly beige and plain, but the interior is super colorful. And yeah. All right, so we are in the hallway and I've just added in a buffet table. I've put the umbrella stand. I tend to forget objects like that. And like the parenting board, I always forget that as well. So I added that in and I used this runner piece that's got some floral print on it. Really lovely. That's just from base game. And now we are doing this kind of improv hallway that is just to connect you from the main hallway to the living room. And in the end, I just used this strip of hallway as like a study, not a study, kind of like a skill building area. So you've got an easel and you've got some portraits to kind of imply that maybe a painter lives here. You've got the chess table, and then you lean into the living room, which is where this front area is. As you can see, I tried to use the growing together curtains, but they just didn't work on the kind of bay window section. So I decided to use these ones. All right, this was my first time using these new kind of lounge sets that we got with which came free as part of the marketplace. And I think they really suited this build. I went with the yellow swatch as again trying to pull in all the colors that I had used. And I really think that having that kind of skill building objects and space in the hallway leading into this room made sense because this living room is tiny. It's not very big at all. But in the end, I just put in the basics that you need. I end up putting in I think it's like an infant's play mat. And I think I put in a fireplace. Yeah, I do, just a smaller one. I don't know what it is about my decorating, but I'm too scared to make things look really crammed because sometimes I watch speed builds and I'm like, oh, is any of that functional? So yes, I this is definitely functional and I want that. I want you to be able to play and enjoy my builds. And along with that, this, if you like today's video, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery, this build. My gallery ID is Antoinette44. It is in the description below if needed. And yeah, you can download and enjoy this build or any of the other builds from the month. Anyway, back to the story. I always forget we have like clutter for like infants. So I put like some wipes and I put like a little play basket. I thought that was really super cute and whatnot. Okay, so the final room downstairs is a study. So I guess if you wanted to, you could make this a fourth bedroom. It's not massive, but you could fit a bed, like a bedroom in here, maybe like a kid's room. Or if you wanted to, you could take some more space from the neighboring hallway and you could make it a fairly large room. All right. So you know how I said it was just plain? Yeah, so it turns out it's yellow. It's a yellow home and it's super sunny and we've paired it with kind of a beige sliding on the bump outs. And this makes sense because the exterior is super colorful. So why not make the exterior super colorful? And I really like it. And I think also I wanted to go with a pastel color because the Rindle Rose build is across the street and that's a pink house. So I definitely think having a colored house in the street is fine. And that's, of course, what we've gone with. Like, apologies for not realizing sooner. I just like sometimes, like, I often record and edit and then I do my voiceovers much later. So when I watch this back, I'm experiencing it for the first time with you all as well. And yeah, so yellow. But I did remember the playground, and this is the splash pad. I had this weird little area here, and I thought that made sense. So I put in a barbecue area. We put in a flower arranging a table. We put in tons of gardening stuff around. I also put in a basketball hoop in this kind of in the back. I thought that it made sense. We put in a hopscotch as well. I put in some kids bikes. Like I really wanted to like put a ton of activities in this build as I normally do with a lot of my family homes. All right, so at this point we are doing the landscaping for the like backyard of the property and I keep it very simple. I don't really do much with it. I did struggle with the landscaping jumping on the foundation, but we got around that. gone in with some azaleas and some low-laying flowers. And yeah, I think the pathing I think is a base game pathing, which I forgot to mention, so that's quite good. Just adding in some trees. Again, these are just trees that are from the neighboring areas in in Willow Creek. And yeah, really lovely build. Yeah, I do like the modular playgrounds. I've never actually made a custom playground because I feel like it's easier to just use the pre-made ones, but you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below, do you use the playgrounds and do you make a custom playground, or do you just use the ones that are made? All right, so I'm fixing this front area, and I think in the end it was just those taller pieces because they weren't from the debug menu. They were a weird shade of green and they just didn't sit right. I never really used the terrain paint tool for grass, and I decided to use it because we've got a couple of terrain paint options that have some like flowers in them, and I've decided to use that in this build. Something about the theme of this build, the coloring of this build, it has a cutesy vibe to it, and I really loved those flowers. It kind of made it look a little bit more intentional and it had like a cutesy feel to it. So I really enjoyed that. And as I said, I wouldn't normally gravitate towards using them, but I think it really added something to the front of the build. Speaking about adding something to the front of the build, these planter plots from Get Together were wonderful. It kind of added also with the foundation of the build, that kind of lattice foundation, just really like lots of wood tones. Really looks good. Okay, so at this point, we are now moving on to the balcony, and we are just I just put these kind of benches. I think they come from Horse Ranch, those benches. Just kind of a sitting area. I didn't really add too much. And I think on this back porch, we just put like a kids' activity table and perhaps a rocking chair. And then I add in some knitting, again in the yellow. There's a theme. Yellow and greens and blues and whatnot. All right, so you got the hopscotch, and I'm just sizing up, a toy car. And yeah, we are back inside, so we're going to finalize the study. I used the shelf that came from Discover University. I never used this thing. It's like an IKEA shelf. I felt that this build definitely had a semi-modern vibe to it in certain places, and this study definitely had that vibe. Okay, so I forgot to do the bathroom. So this is the downstairs bathroom. Again, as it being a family home, I wanted it to be super cozy and family friendly. And I thought that these shower tub combos from Parenthood worked perfectly for that. I love the whales, again, pulling in the blue. And yeah, I used this sink that is the same set from the kitchen, but I didn't actually use the sink in the kitchen. Very interesting choice. I also use bath mats and toilet mats. Not something I generally include, but again, I thought I'd include it. I am trying to use assets that I don't normally use. All right, we are upstairs. Talking about assets I don't really use, this bench, this hallway table, it obviously matches the same pattern that is on the rug from the downstairs in that entry kitchenway. I thought that was pretty cool way to link the downstairs to the upstairs. And I did like an improv kind of playroom towards the bathroom just to kind of use that hallway space. We are well and truly underway in the master bedroom. This is so sunny and yellow. The bed is from Base Game and it's in a sunflower swatch. And I use the most brilliant, like gingham pastel yellow lemon print wallpaper, and it ties this entire room together. And it really does match the entire build. And I kind of like that with master bedrooms. Like the master bedroom has the same vibe as the rest of the build, whilst the kids' rooms are very unique for that. And yeah, I just really enjoy this build. Lots of cats and dogs, Base Game. The vanity comes from Vintage Glamour, I believe. And we do change the swatch of the curtain. Yes. And as you can see, that gingham print. And from the master bedroom, you do have a door that goes to the balcony. All right, moving in to the nursery. And this is where I kind of discovered I wanted to do that kind of cowboy theme in the child's room. You saw I put down the cow print carpet. That is from Lovestruck. But we are going to start with the nursery first. I decided to put carpet in the kids' rooms. It's not something I always do, but I think that it's good to change it up. I don't really use a lot of flooring options. I generally stick with tile and wooden flooring. And I just thought using carpet in the bedrooms, kids' rooms, was, a good opportunity to use something I don't normally use. This carpet, of course, is from the Pastel Pop Kit. So is the wallpaper. And I've just done a very traditional pink girly nursery that I would always do. Moving into what is arguably my favorite room in the entire house is this cowboy themed kids room. I've never, I don't think I've ever built something or decorated something that is so thematic in my life. I love it. And it's all based off this carpet paired with this bed that, of course, comes from Horse Ranch. And I just love how it's got the horse on it and it's got the horseshoes and it's got stars on it. And I used a lot of, obviously, things from Horse Ranch, things from the kids' room stuff pack. I even use this dresser that comes from Cats and Dogs. Yes, it's got paw prints, but I feel like, you could kind of use your imagination, and it doesn't look like a horseshoe, but that's the vibe. But no, I really love this room and I really love the colors. We end up using like a burnt yellow orange wallpaper. I love the llamas and I love that kind of Western sign that also comes from Horse Ranch. And we just clutter it up with a ton of clutter pieces. We've got a little desk, obviously, to do homework. The dollhouse comes from Horse Ranch. It's just a really solid space. I'm really enjoying this room. And yeah, you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below which is your favorite room of today's build. So I'm just going in with a small side table and with a clock. I don't ever use this clock, but we used a clock. It's another object I forget we have. But yeah, that coloring just brings it all together. It's such a beautiful room. Okay, we are adding in a fireplace because I just felt like it needed it on the side of the build. And we will be moving into the tour. I think, yep, we are live in game. And we enter through the entrance into the kitchen, and we do end up keeping that backsplash, which is really nice, the green. We carry the color green, yellow, pink, blue throughout the entire build. Oh, I end up changing the swatch on the shower tub combo. That's the downstairs bathroom. We head down into the study. This is by the back door of the property. Down through the archway, you have that kind of skill building area. Through to the front room, which is a living room. Really nice. And there I do just add in, I think, a speaker by the looks of it. Yep. Maybe even a gaming console. This one comes from Adventure Awaits. And then we go upstairs. You have that improv little play area. You then, which I'm just putting in a curtain, into the upstairs bathroom, which has just a tub, and into the nursery. Really pink and girly and fun. Into the, where are we going? Oh, we are putting in, yep, some more decorations. No? Yes? Yes. And we are adding in a bookshelf. Into the master bedroom. And then out on the balcony, you have a seated area. And then finally, last but not least, my favorite room of the house, that beautiful kids' room. So cool. We then head back downstairs and then through the back of the house, and you have that gardening area, you have an entertainers area, you have a playground, you have the basketball hoop, and you have the front of the build. And that is the build today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's build. and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.